Rita, the Italian pizza assassin, delinquent magician.
Fatality.
Hey, welcome to Wake Up 3. This is round 13. We are your hosts, Molly
And Cam. And this is a fighting game podcast from a couple that loves fighting games. Today we're going to be talking to you about Menat, but first we're going to do a mix-up. And this week it is Molly's turn to try and mix me up.
We're going to do a statistical mix-up.
Oh, okay.
And jump into, more of the stat side of things.
Let's see how I do.
And this is related to the Street Fighter 6 CEO 2023 stats specifically, which you and I just talked about today, which I said that's interesting that we just talked about the first super major tournament for Street Fighter 6. So I have 3 questions for you. Question number 1. In both the top 64 and top 24, this character was most popular and most successful. Was it A, Blanca, B, JP, C, Jury, or D, Marisa?
Jury.
Correct. Can I ask why you were so speedy on that? Do you know about this?
Yeah, I knew about that. I remembered that from seeing that stat at one point when it first happened. And I wanted to just blurt out jury as soon as you read the question. Like, jury, before you even read any of them.
Oh, no. Okay.
That one I knew.
All right. You're off to a good start. Hopefully my next 2 questions aren't stats that you've already seen. I didn't know you knew this. Oops. Okay. In the top 192 portion of the bracket, this character saw an almost 10% usage. Was it A, Ken, B, JP, C, Cammy, or D, Jamie?
Almost 10%. I'm going to go with Ken.
It was actually JP, which I thought was
okay.
Interesting considering the current climate with JP as well.
Yeah, there's
now
a
couple
lot of
months
him.
in.
There's a lot of him going on now, so that is interesting.
All right, final question. Let's see if you make it or break it.
Let's see.
The only character whose players all did well enough to make it to top 24 from top 64 was A, Cammy, B, Ryu, C, Jury, or D, Dalsum?
I'm going to go with Cammy.
Correct! Well done! How did you decide on that final one?
I just didn't think it would be Dalsum or Ryu, and I don't know.
You didn't believe in Jury? You didn't think she was going to be the answer twice?
I thought there were so many jury users that not all of them would be successful.
Okay, I guess.
Deduction.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, good job.
Looks like I read you a little bit.
You read the mix-up pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. I'll take it.
Yeah. Got you with a little Ken wrench, but when don't you get got by the Ken?
Yeah, all you gotta do is Ken.
Here and there.
Yeah.
Just Ken as hard as you can. Well, we have to also address something now that took place just after our episode came out last week. The Kombat Kast, the latest Kombat Kast from the wonderful folks at NetherRealm Studios. It was brought to us by Stephanie and Tyler this time. And they showed us some character gameplay.
Yeah, we got to see Sindel, Rain, and Shao.
In that order. So, quite a bit there.
There was a lot.
I think from the get-go, Sindel is just an absolutely stacked character. Don't you agree?
She's looking good, yeah. She's got a great mid with that forward 4 roll. She's got multiple projectiles. One of them can actually go through other people's projectiles and destroy them. She's got the heavy jumping jury kick.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. That's just like a regular jump for Sindel.
Yeah,
What
I pointed
else?
that out to you and said, hey, I think you're gonna...
Yeah.
You might be maining Sindel because this is something you already use right now.
I do like that move.
So yeah, the hair projectile is back. That's pretty notable.
Hairball.
Yeah, hairball.
Hairball.
It's
Love
back,
the name.
baby.
The other thing about Sindel that I did want to say was she's got this new ability where she can steal your cameo.
Mm-hmm.
So Sindel can actually control your cameo and have 2 cameos, which is kind of insane.
Right.
That takes your breaker away completely, so she can just combo you and combo you.
They'll not only introduce a new feature for characters, but then they'll say, like, you can also do this out of it and this out of it, and then you can enhance it. I feel like them showing off Sindel, it was just like, boom, boom, boom. You're just bombarded with all this new stuff she can do, and it's cool.
She can do a lot. She's looking like a pretty good pick right now. She's actually moved up to my top 3 for characters that I'm looking towards playing like right away.
Yeah,
when the game comes out. So
something that you had said, you just said this to me in conversation that I'm gonna bring up now because I feel like it is very true. And that was that Sindel is kind of the first character where you're really seeing them take the lore of the character itself and translate that into their gameplay directly. With her queen, essence, her ability to literally take your cameo away and control it, use it to her advantage.
Yeah.
That's queen.
Yeah, she can get others to serve
baby.
her, and yeah, they're doing a lot of wild things with this game. I feel like there's going to be so many characters that are like quote unquote busted.
They showed Serena. She has 2 different projectiles as her options, and then she's one of the first that we know of, I think, to have a 4th option.
Yeah.
Which is the sigil, which will drain meter if you are in it as the opponent.
Yeah, Motaro was another cameo they showed off, and he looks good. It's a bummer because I'm honestly not a Motaro fan, but pretty much everything he has looks really, really useful. He has a teleport, so he can move your character around, get him close. He has a projectile reflect, so he can say... I think it lasted for a while. It knocked back 6 rated shots when they showed it.
Like you can walk behind it,
that's
so
right,
it'll stay on screen for a little bit.
That's right. So yeah, that's a nice safe feature. Mm-hmm. And then he has 3 projectiles as well, where he shoots out like 3 balls and it will combo you. Mm-hmm. So he's looking like a pretty good character.
I hope that this means Goro is just as cool as a cameo.
I think
being that he was a sub boss.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to see Goro get some grabs.
I know he has punch walk.
Yeah.
Which works for me.
That's all that it took for you.
That's all it took. As soon as I saw punch walk, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's what's up.
All right. Well, we should move on to Rain was next.
Yeah.
And he's a mage.
Yeah, he's a wizard. He's a mage. He's got a staff. He uses it in 99% of his moves, it seems.
Yep.
Even when he's just kind of like bonking you with it, he'll just use it for like physical attacks too.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of water when Rain is in the game.
Yep.
So much. Probably, I feel like more than ever.
Yeah, they went... I don't know.
They went wet.
They went... Yeah, he said... Yeah,
at one point, says that.
After, during a mid-round, if he wins the round, he says, all wet.
I think it was just after the fatal.
Yeah, and he just says, all wet.
Yeah, what's that about?
Sorry that you guys have to hear me saying that for so long.
Oof.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be a big-time zoner, though. He also has a JP-style teleport where he can put little portals on screen and then teleport to them.
That was...
from above.
That was
just like JP. It's not exactly the same because he can't explode them for damage, but whatever.
That one I felt was a little weird. I can't picture it being used well, but I guess we'll leave that to the pros.
Yeah,
I'm sure there will be some really cool stuff, and I'm gonna eat my words. But
I'm sure people will find a use for all of the stuff that he's got. I'm just not a zoner. I don't think that's a character I would go for.
Yeah, and I had said when the Lin Kuei trailer dropped that I thought Rain looked really cool at the time, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say no. After seeing the gameplay, this
Right.
isn't a character that I'm gonna pursue.
Yeah, definitely.
And another takeaway, sorry to harp on the negative, but watching the gameplay, he is still just as short stubby as he was in MK11.
He's very stubby.
The infamous short dash with Rain.
Yeah.
And I will say that my favorite thing about seeing his gameplay is definitely the funnel animation when the opponent gets sucked down.
Yeah, it looks silly.
Yeah, I like the
Liu
way
Kang
they
gets
kind of
flushed
just
down a toilet in the
like
in
the way
video.
they just ragdoll down.
Yeah, with their arms up in the air, like,
Yeah.
oh no.
That was making me giggle.
That is really funny. That's gonna be one of those animations that it will be fun to look at on every character.
Yeah. And then finally we got to see General Shao with the
General
axe.
Shao.
What do we think of Shao?
Well, yeah, he uses an axe. We knew that going in based on the trailer, but he's looking pretty nuts. It seems like he has slightly reduced health. He has 950 instead of the usual 1,000. So this is the first character we've seen that has less, but he looks like he's going to be a monster. And he's kind of a stance character as well, because with this axe, he can use it in a move or in a string and then end the string by throwing it to the ground, and then the axe will be in the ground. During that time, he has a completely different move set, so he has like short range punches and things like that, and he can end his strings by slamming you into the axe on the ground. He looks a little bit more technical, I think, than he has been in the past. He's not just the huge, dumb bruiser.
I might pick him within the first 10 characters to try, but he's not top 5.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe he's top 5. I guess maybe he would be top 5.
Just not top 3.
Yeah, not top 3. That's what I should have said.
Fair enough.
How do you feel about him?
I think he looks interesting. I think the number one move that I'm into right now is when he slams... He kind of like levitates the axe and slams it up and down into the ground, causing a ground pound. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool. I'd forgotten about that.
And if he does it above them, it's an instant overhead into low.
Yeah.
So that you're not gonna block that, especially online. I thought that was cool. I don't know that he's a character I will choose for sure, but I'm sure I'll give him a shot. I just can't see myself maining him long term because...
The face.
Yeah, honestly, the
face.
It's the face.
Nobody wants to see that in Cyrax's fatal blow.
No, that's true.
You were probably most thrilled when they did the fight with Baraka.
Yeah, they did a little end fight, just like a developer match. It was a lot of fun to see. Yeah, I got to see some Baraka strings. I think before the match even ended, I leaned over and told you, I love the effects they use on Baraka's blades. I think it looks so cool. I like that little jump kick that he's got. It's like it's like an overhead kind of like lunge forward stomp on you. I like that. He seems to have a lot of really cool specials and enders. He seems really vicious. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on him. And I like the range that he's got too, because he uses the blades in almost everything he does. I'm liking the range.
Good stuff. That pretty much covers the Kombat Kast, right?
I think so.
Well, let's just get into a little bit of our week in fighting games before we dive into the history of Menat. Cam, how was your week? How was your week with the fighting games?
It was decent. I think I pretty much only played Street Fighter 6 this week. I keep meaning to go back and play MK11 for this one last season.
That's right.
But it hasn't really been happening lately. I've just been hooked on Street Fighter 6. I've still been playing a ton of Jury, plugging away, ranking up a little bit. But I have also gone back to DJ.
Yeah, very recently.
Yeah, very recently. I just started going back to DJ this week. I actually haven't really touched him since week 1 or 2 of the game being out. So that's been exciting. I've been approaching it with kind of a new play style, a new familiarity with the game. And yeah, it's been cool. I've been able to see like a faster progression.
Yeah, I've liked seeing you go back to DJ very recently, within the past couple days from when we're recording this. And I don't think we got to mention, because we didn't really talk about our fighting game week last week, so I don't think we really mentioned that you had started dabbling in some other characters to place them in rank. You made some interesting attempts at placing new challengers into ranked.
Yeah, I just wanted to see where I could get, and a lot of them, I mean, I didn't really go into, I should say I didn't go into training mode or combo trials or anything like that first. I just jumped straight in knowing nothing about how to control these characters. So I didn't do too hot, but they were Zangief and Marisa. Every once in a while, I'm like attracted to playing bigs, but I can't actually think of a single big that I've ever mained in a fighting game, like long term. I just enjoy playing bigs every once in a while.
Yeah, you just always want to keep trying just to see if it'll stick.
Yeah, so that's what I did this time around. I just tried like I'm gonna go with both bigs and just see how it goes, and it was pretty bad. I didn't place very well at all. I'm not even gonna say where right now, but
I did play some Street Fighter over the past week as well, and we've kind of committed back to always like training with each other first for a bit every time we play, which I think has been really helpful. I think it's a good thing to have a sparring partner, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, so we just kind of train against each other. We do a 1st to 5, and that's something that we're gonna keep doing in other fighting games. I think we've been talking about.
Yeah. I think so.
Planning on doing an MK1, which we're both super excited about.
Yeah, we're both super psyched for that.
Closing in on that date.
Should we say that during most of our 1st to 5s lately, they've been pretty one-sided? Or do you want to leave that out?
Yeah, so here's the problem. I have come to the conclusion that if I don't play Street Fighter 6, and I don't know if it's just because I'm brand new to the entire franchise, or if it's just this game. My conclusion is that if I don't play this game consistently, like every day, I will get very bad. I don't know if that's a new fighter thing. I kind of feel like it might be just a new fighter thing. But maybe it's just a Street Fighter 6 thing.
It's definitely like your newest fighter.
Right.
So I feel like that could be the case for you.
During our most recent 1st to 5s, Jury v. Jamie, it's been 5-0, you guys.
Just like back-to-back 5-0s for like the last 3 or 4
I
sessions,
will
probably.
say, though... Okay, I will say, though, that although that sounds very hopeless, the more recent ones that have been 5-0, the closer the matches themselves are. There have been some tight,
Yeah.
to-the-wire matches where I could have taken it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I just fluff it up, so...
Yeah. To be fair, I have played probably 3 times as many matches as Jury.
Right, like I said.
As opposed to your Jamie. And yeah, I've just been plugging away, just putting in the hours lately, whenever I can. So I'm just a little bit ahead because of that, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
In most fighting games, we usually go about 50-50. Some days, someday it might be worse than others, but generally I feel like we go 50-50 in a lot of fighters.
I must tell you that the subject of this episode came to me in a dream. We often speculate around here what the DLC will be, and Street Fighter 6 has been no exception. We know the first pack of characters we're getting, but there's going to be a lot of DLC in this game. The roster's pretty small to begin with, so I can only assume I was dreaming about DLC for Street Fighter 6. And I was selecting a certain character who just so happens to be Menat. And Cam has so graciously taken the responsibility of bringing us the history of Menat, the brief history, I hear.
Yeah, so let's talk about Menat here. She was introduced in Street Fighter V.
Okay.
And she wasn't a base roster character. She was from Season 2. The game launched in 2016, and she came out in August of 2017. She is 5'4", or 163 centimeters, and she weighs 121 pounds, or 55 kilograms. It's funny when you see somebody that's 5'4" and 121 pounds picking up a giant robot with their legs and just throwing them over their back, or, whatever ridiculous grappler moves. She's got purple hair, green eyes. Only other thing I'll talk about for her appearance is she's got kind of a bob for her haircut with low-cut bangs. She's supposed to be modeled after Cleopatra. She's got kind of like an Egyptian motif. She's from Egypt, but she does not reside in Egypt.
Oh.
From Egypt, living in Italy.
Is there a reason for that?
There is.
Okay.
We will get to that.
All right. Oops.
But for now, yes, she lives in Italy. Her likes and dislikes. These are some of my favorite things to go through whenever I see character bios or go through these. Menat likes souvenirs from across the world and journaling. She dislikes foul-mouthed people and thrill rides.
Interesting.
So like roller coasters, things like that, I guess. Yeah, like I said, she first appeared as DLC in Season 2 of Street Fighter V, so she's been around for 6 years now. Menat is nicknamed Eyes of the Future because she's a fortune teller. She's actually the second fortune teller character in the Street Fighter franchise.
Oh.
After Rose. So Rose is the first fortune teller fighter. She's from Street Fighter Alpha 1995. Menat is apprentice to Rose, so that's actually where she learned her powers and abilities and how to fight.
Okay.
She does approach her combat a little bit differently. She uses like dance moves and she's a lot more bubbly. Rose is a lot more like serious in her fighting. I mean, she's the master. She's not the apprentice, so she's more advanced in what she does. She uses a scarf in her moveset and like magics it all over the place. Menat uses a crystal ball and then little projectiles. Rose has appeared in all 3 games of the Alpha series, plus Street Fighter 4 and 5. And now Menat has also been in Street Fighter 5, so I'm wondering if there's a potential for Menat to become like the new mainstay fortune teller.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know. Just a theory.
You're probably right, because now there's another magic type person that wears a scarf.
I'm trying to think of who you're talking about.
JP.
I guess he does kind of use a scarf.
He
Interesting.
doesn't use it, but
No, he just
wears
he just
it.
wears one.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. Like I said, Rose uses soul power and a scarf that she uses to fling around. Menat uses soul power and her crystal ball, and she uses that to like bash you with. Plus she uses it to absorb projectiles or shoot projectiles at you. Cool. So that's kind of her main deal. She had very different origins at the beginning. During development, Menat was originally going to be Italian like Rose.
Oh, okay.
So they actually added the Egyptian motif and origins pretty late on. Originally, she was going to be named Rita, and she was going to be a delinquent magician and a pizza assassin.
Oh, no. Okay.
So she was going to be very different. And so she was going to be Rita, the Italian pizza assassin, delinquent magician.
Yikes on yikes on yikes.
And now she's Menat, the Egyptian fortune teller.
Okay.
Very different. Originally, before they settled on the crystal ball, they considered using different weapons or tools. Certain things they considered were smoke, golden dust, and a staff.
Interesting.
The staff was going to actually be used to like bonk them with. It was going to be used. It was going to be like a 4-foot staff.
They saved it for JP.
Yeah, they saved it for another magic user. So Menat is named after Hathor. It's an Egyptian goddess.
Okay.
Menat, Hathor, doesn't sound the same. It's based on the hieroglyphic pronunciation. This Egyptian deity represents motherhood, nourishment, dance, love, and joy. Those are a lot of things that Menat kind of brings to the table too. Not motherhood specifically, but she's a very caring person. She cares for others, and like she's instantly like she's a very much
see it.
She's very much an empath. That's what that goddess is that she's based on.
Interesting.
Yeah, so fun little behind the scenes.
I like that.
I had to go digging into what that goddess represented because
Well,
the Street Fighter site is just like, this is what she's based on.
Oh, okay.
The goddess. And I'm like, well, what is that?
Well, thank you for digging into that for us.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, there was actually a little bit more about that. Among other things, Hathor also helps souls of the dead reach the afterlife.
Ooh, there you go.
Menat is polite but serious and is also known for acting energetic, bubbly, and sometimes even childish.
Okay.
So she's very joyful. She loves to dance. She uses dance in a lot of her special moves. She might be another character that you like. You love those characters with dance moves in Street Fighter, it seems.
Okay.
Elena, Jamie. Just saying. Soul power, dance.
Yeah, she's got it going for her. That's for sure.
On paper, it sounds like a perfect match.
Yeah.
Now, I've mentioned soul power a few times. You might be asking, what is that? There's soul power, and there's another thing called psycho power. You've heard of this. It's what M. Bison uses. Well, originally, long ago, M. Bison had an apprentice named Rose.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so M. Bison used to be on the side of good, or at least just like neutrality. He was never originally like a bad guy back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So this was up before the games. This is just backstory kind of stuff. So he's like a benevolent teacher. He teaches her how to use soul power. It's this like pure thing you can harness and then use. And then it's basically the good half of psycho power. And then he gets corrupted. He gives half of his soul to Rose, and then the good half of his soul is like inside of her.
Oh, that's interesting.
But when he does that, he ends up like losing all of the goodness and like going full evil in beast mode. But that's where it comes from. Soul power comes from M. Bison in a way.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. And I wanted to mention that because Menat first appears in Ed's character story, and Ed is another psycho power user. He's actually a young boy that was kidnapped at a young age and trained in like Shadaloo fighting ways and trained how to use psycho power, and he was supposed to be like a replacement body for M. Bison if anything ever went wrong for him.
Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
kind of giving me like the K-Dash vibes. Where
Yeah,
there's
like
like
a
a
young
million
clone.
versions of
Yeah.
Kyo.
Right. And that's how it is. There's so many different clones for M. Bison. Cammy was at one point supposed to be a clone body for M. Bison. That's another story we'll get to another time. Yeah, no reaction for that even.
Wow.
So anyways, Ed is another psycho power user. And he came out as DLC right before Menat. He was like 2 or 3 months before her. So he was a brand new character. She was in his character story. She didn't do too much in it. She just shows up to like warn him of potential harm in the future.
That's encouraging for the current DLC situation because we're getting Ed.
Right, yeah.
In the coming months.
Exactly. We're getting Ed.
Looking at you, Menat.
This winter, so maybe Menat, Street Fighter 6. We'll see. But she doesn't do too much. She just gives him some kind of warning like, you're in danger in the future. Watch out. Be careful of what you do. Yada yada. And then she leaves. That's unresolved at this point, so I feel like she's got to come back at some point, right? Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Her story in Street Fighter V just shows her seeing M. Bison and her crystal ball and beating up some Shadaloo grunts before leaving, finding Rose, and telling her, like, hey, I found M. Bison. You should probably go beat him up, which she does, and then Rose comes back. Menat fixes her a bath, and that's it. It ends. But yeah, I don't know. She fixes her a bath like, hey, thank you, because she's very loyal to her master and very nourishing, like I said. So caring. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's just how she is. But that's really her whole story as far as Street Fighter V goes. She also had a comic series that was a tie-in to Street Fighter V. It was a single issue that was called Street Fighter Menat. This came out in 2019. In this issue, she is on a quest to avenge Rose's death.
Oh.
Rose helps defeat M. Bison in the story, but he ends up escaping. And then later, after the bath, a later fight, Rose ends up perishing while taking M. Bison's evil half of the soul or something like that.
Oh, so is he not
it's
bad anymore in this comic?
It's unsure because it's only a single issue comic and it's mostly about Menat looking for who did it and trying to figure out or just I guess trying to avenge.
So it's about her.
It is.
That's interesting.
Yeah. In this single issue comic, she's on a quest to avenge Rose's death. There's also a prior comic series that shows how Rose dies at the hands of M. Bison.
Oh, okay.
So this was shown through a prior comic. Her body is completely destroyed in this. She turns to dust and blows away in the wind. So there's nothing left of her. But since she is a very powerful soul-using psychic, her soul survives and she goes on to torment M. Bison in his nightmares and by showing up on his computer screens.
That's fun.
Yeah, so she starts just playing these mental games I'm never leaving you alone. Fuck you, M. Bison. That kind of thing. I thought that was a really fun detail, though, that she just goes on to torment him in his literal nightmares and on his computer screens when he's trying to get work done.
Thank you for that, Rose. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, so Menat has one more appearance after this, and it's actually something that has not yet come out.
Okay.
She is going to be in a comic that comes out in November of this year. It's actually the first issue. It's called Street Fighter Evolution Special. And all we know right now, we've seen a couple of preview pages of it, so I guess to hype people up. And Rashid is on a quest for Menat, looking for her somewhere.
Oh.
So Rashid is looking for Menat, and on his quest, he gets stopped by AKI.
Okay.
And that's where it cuts out.
Oh my.
So,
this is looking good then, I think. This is looking good for her showing up, I think.
Yeah, signs point to...
Because these are all DLC for Street Fighter 6 so far.
Yeah, exactly. So
wow. Okay.
As I was researching
I
this...
have had prophetic dreams before, so this might just be another notch in my belt.
This is straight up a prophetic character, so if she comes out, I feel like you have to main her.
Oh my god, you're so right.
So yeah, that comes out November 15th of 2023. That's not even out yet.
Okay.
But Rashid is on the search for Menat, and he's going to get stopped by AKI. We don't know how that's going to turn out. I did want to say one last thing. Is it just a coincidence that Ed is a Psycho Power user and Menat is the new Soul Power user, and they seem to be intertwined, just like Rose and M. Bison are intertwined?
Right. I was kind of thinking the same thing.
I feel like
you mentioned he had the Psycho Power.
Yeah, and they both showed up in Street Fighter V, so I feel like they're the new Psycho Power and Soul Power users.
Feels like it.
Kind of feels like it. Like maybe they're retiring those other two for a little while?
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see. I could be way off base here, but
it's
that's just a guess.
Yeah, it's like a new era type stuff.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6 definitely feels like a new era. Maybe Ed will be a new big bad. You never know.
Ed the Big Bad. New Big Bad.
Ed the New Big Bad. That's what his title will be, above his health bar. Ed the New Big Bad.
ETNBB.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But Menat did have some kind of warning for him. So maybe that's what it's about.
Very interesting. Well, thank you for bringing us the history that is available of Menat. So
yeah. I hope I hope you found it interesting. I
will definitely think it's more interesting if we do end up getting her. We'll see what the future holds for our fortune teller Menat. If we will see her in Street Fighter 6 alongside Ed and the gang.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see what that comic entails when it comes out in November.
Yeah, I think we'll have to get our hands on it at some point.
Check it out. All right, well, before we get completely bombarded by our cats, let's
they are
get out of
trying
here.
to push the door down. So thank you for listening. Tell all your friends to subscribe, check us out, that sort of thing.
Yep, and we'll see you next week for a final farewell to MK11. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Wake Up 3. Thanks so much for listening. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at WakeUp3FGC. And you can find me, Molly, on Twitter at Concut. That's KAHNKUT. Or on PlayStation, that's Jam Michaels.
And you can find me, Cam, on Twitter or PlayStation at Big Rock Online. This is Wake Up 3, signing off.
Bye. Some people used to call that a pizza. I feel like I maybe fought somebody that was calling it a pizza when I was throwing it at them.
I've definitely called it a pizza disc before.